Everybody, welcome to Real Talk. This is John.
And I'm Jess.
Today we're actually going to be doing something a little bit out the box. We are going to bring you the ugly truth about real estate.
And being in real estate.
Yeah.
Really. We're not talking about your side, guys. We're talking about our side.
I
We're
know.
complaining about our job.
Yeah.
Do y'all ever complain about your job?
Yeah, so hold on, wait. Don't take off. If you're watching and you're not in real estate, guys, there's going to be probably a lot of things in here that you might have in common for, and we kind of want to hear your opinion. But at the same time, I feel like there's this false fantasy out there that real estate is just baller city.
Glamour, glamour, glamour.
Glam, all glam. And in reality, we just want to go ahead and bring some of that out and kind of just tell you what the greedy is all about.
I think the truth is we're moody.
Right? I think so.
Moody. This moody weather lately.
Yeah, maybe.
We're gonna vent.
I know. And this whole, I don't know, there's a lot going on. So I think this is a perfect mood that we're in to just
let's all vent. Y'all vent with us. You put your complaints in the comments.
Yes.
Not about us, about everything else.
About us too. Oh, about her.
Okay.
So check this out. So we're going to be talking about a couple of little things, right? Just scratch the surface a little bit before we get started. Talk about dealing with people, being one category.
Yes.
What else?
Fees upon fees upon fees.
We're going to be talking about initial investment.
We're going to be talking about bad human interactions. Like the worst kind of human interaction. Seriously, guys, we see some of the worst.
Yeah.
It's awful.
And also just the general concept of certain things that are miscellaneous that you may have no idea that real estate agents have to deal with. Sit back, be entertained, let's chat.
Well, this is Real Talk, San Antonio.
One thing that I loathe.
There's loathing.
Loathe is the things that I have no control over, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm a little bit of a control freak, yeah.
Yeah, and that is dealing with other people. Like, and what I mean by dealing with other people, I deal with you all the time, girl. But what I'm talking about is this, like, for example, like, we have to work with other people in order for the transaction to go really well.
Yep.
You know, and we have to confide in certain...
No choice but to work with someone.
No choice, and then, and a lot of the times it's no choice. We work and we like, being in the business, as long as we develop relationships that we can trust and blah, blah, blah. But...
Oh my God, man. So much more often than not, after a transaction is done, I am like, I will never work with that lender.
Yeah.
I will never work with that title company. I will never work with that realtor. And those contractors, never. Not all of them.
Look, guys.
Red flags everywhere. And man, that... You know why it sucks the most to me? Because it makes me go, you know what? Other people have worked with them that are not in our industry.
Yeah.
And it made our industry look stinky. It made us look bad because they're so incredibly awful. And that's the part that I hate the most. But just the fact that I have to deal with these people and fix their mistakes and clean up after them and deal with unprofessional behavior. And look, y'all, I maintain, except on here, I maintain my professional behavior throughout the entire transaction. Even if somebody's rude to me, I've called people. It's super professional, nice, kind, welcoming, like, let's figure out what the best thing to do is, let's come up with ideas, and they'll be straight out just childishly rude, and I'm like, what's going on here? I'm calling you at 2:00 on a Tuesday. You're not with your family, you can't be out drinking somewhere. I mean, is this just who you are? And I'm baffled. Because then I'll talk to them another time and they're still the same. That's who they are. Surprise! They're just horrible.
You know what? And what drives me crazy about it is that everybody we work with in this industry is word of mouth. Like, it's everything. Everybody we work with is like, you want to develop a good relationship with people. But what's more frustrating about that, right, is when people portray a great image. Like, when you meet them and they're like, I'm like this with my client, I'm like this, and I will answer 24 hours later.
Or if online they present themselves like their social media just looks like listening, I'm like, oh man, I'm jealous of this person's social media. Yeah. They look super professional, great, and then, when it comes down to it, they're like an ogre, man. They're a troll. They're horrible.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you have the amount of business you have and this kind of persona online, and you're this
And look, this is the
awful?
thing. I'm not saying I'm perfect.
Bizarre.
Or I'm not saying like I'm the best realtor in the world, but me personally, it's very, very simple. It's just, you're my client, you're my priority. How can I transfer this information to make it the most easiest way for you to digest this information, right? And we can work together to get to the end game.
Exactly.
And that's it, right? It's communication.
Yeah. I'm not going to get riled up.
Yeah.
I'm going to, we get bad news, I'm going to say, okay, listen, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
This is what we have to deal with,
Yeah.
and these are our options to get us to the next stage.
Yeah.
Or if this just says I'm dialed out, I want out, then I'm going to find you the most cost-effective way to do that.
Yeah. Or even just
You know?
how can we do it just the most effective way in general. Like when I've worked with other companies, right, that once they promise all this ABC, but they're not even able to just communicate the simple facts, right? And granted, like, people make mistakes, people have bad days, I get all that. But if it's something like major, like a core value of somebody, I'm like, bro, come on, man. We have a goal in mind. One, if this transaction doesn't go through, we all don't get paid, so all our efforts are gone.
Yeah.
So how about we just work together? Do your job, communicate with my client, let's work things together so we can make sure it gets done correctly. It's honestly, it drives me absolutely nuts. Nuts. The fact that there is so many people, more people out there with that type of business, that whole business acumen, versus just communicate, have great customer service, and do your job.
So let me ask you, tell me a story about one of the worst situations, human interactions you've had in this business.
Man, I have a lot of stories.
A lot of stories.
Unfortunately, I have too many to count, and I can't even think of one right off the bat that I'm just like, this is one. But I'll tell you, and I'm not going to call anybody out, obviously, but I'll give you a scenario. You know, I had a client of mine. We were in the process of selling a house, right? And there was some documentations that were asked for them to get done, signed, whatever. This specific company had said, look, we'll do A, B, and C to make it convenient for you, right? Mind you, my client had specific circumstances where they physically and financially couldn't do certain things, right? So they relied heavily on this company. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So long story short, that other company completely fell through. They started blaming my client, saying that she was the one that didn't follow instructions, she whatever. And I saw all the emails, I was attached to everything. It was clear.
Everything's done here. What are you talking about?
So at the end of the day, like, it caused that person, it sounds super small, but in the scope of the situation, my client was panicking because the situation,
it's the biggest transaction of most people's lives.
And in her specific situation, if that transaction didn't go through successfully, which pended this situation, that whole deal could have gone into flames. And trust me, that deal gone into flames would have messed up a lot of situations in her life. So it was like those communications, the blaming game, and not like why, just if you
fix it.
and if you don't do something right as a professional, own up to it. Yeah. I am so sorry that I may have miscommunicated. Take a hit, fix it, and then figure the problem out later. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just, what are we in elementary? No, you did this and you did that. No, it don't matter who did what. Just fix it. Get on with your life. Yeah. So like, and like I said, I have a lot of scenarios like that. But at the core of it, the person that gets hit the most is the client. We get looked at, it messes up our reputation.
It does, because we have recommended a lot of times these people, and then they suck. Like, I had this one contractor come to make a repair on a home, and they were recommended from someone else. Yeah. And at the end, they were like, "How are you going to pay?" And I was like, "Well, just send me an invoice, and I'll forward it to the client." And they got in my face. Physically got in my face and were like, "No, we're not leaving here until you pay me." And I was like, I'm the realtor. Like, I'm not the homeowner. Yeah. And literally, they got in my face. I literally went inside and like had to figure out how to get them paid because they weren't leaving. Wow. It was like really ghetto.
Dude,
That was really ghetto.
Thinking of,
I was just like,
when it comes to contractors,
nuts, man.
When it comes to contractors, that is a whole different can of worms. Look, man, like I said earlier, our business and we're essentially we're independent contractors. We're all of us, right? Yeah. So our job is to build and retain customers.
Yeah.
So remember how I told you, like, when they build up hype, they can do amazing. Literally every year, now what I have to do is I make communications. I call all my resources and I make sure they're still in the game. Because the most frustrating thing year over year that I've noticed is that I get a company, right? They're fired up because either it's a new business or
you're a new opportunity,
whatever. And they're like, oh, let's do this, and I give them a couple jobs, and they do good in the jobs, and now I feel like, oh, this is great. And then just like every engine just gets tired, and I get all that, right?
Yeah.
Dude, like the next job, like, they don't show up, or they don't communicate, or they do a half-ass job. And then on top of all that, they don't take ownership. So now it's on me, and I have to explain to my clients, hey, I'm sorry, I've used this person several times. This is bizarre, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, no, like, especially with contractors, every type of contractor, I call them every year, like, this is my list. You're on my priority list. Like, how is everything going? We talked about this off camera. You're like, how do you gauge that, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's just the energy. You get me off the phone, like, if I call you and you're like, oh yeah, man, this year is gonna be whatever, and like, yeah, I may be available. Like, I'm like, all right, dude, scratch off the list.
Red flags.
Yeah, but if you're like, yeah, dude, this year's gonna be cool, blah blah blah. Like, I got, A, B, and C. I'm excited for this. I got these new products or whatever. You're doing business specific way.
You still love being in business.
Absolutely.
I mean, that counts. I did have a contractor once that came and did a job, and when they left, I was like, they missed this whole entire part.
Yeah.
And then they just left. I mean, what the heck? So I called the owner and I'm like, y'all didn't even finish the job. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, this part and this, I don't want to give anybody away or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, oh, well, that's because it has a condition that we were not aware of. And I'm like, yeah, but I didn't know that. Yeah. And nobody talked to me. They just left. And you know what? He was there the next day fixing it. And then he didn't charge me. Wow. And he was like, he had actually been on time off when the job had occurred. But man, he handled it like a boss, and I had so much respect for him that he just made it right, and that just showed like really great integrity and
exactly
just, I can trust you. I know that you're going to do the right thing by the people that you work with, and so he's still on my list because why wouldn't he be on my list? He did the right thing.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to be perfect, y'all. Just communicate. Take ownership. And, I mean, it's so silly.
Continue working together.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
that's
you know what's interesting? Like, this is complete sidebar, but I feel like it goes the same.
Sidebar.
But I feel like it goes the same. Look, I had a company, right, that I've been working with for a while. They started dropping the ball, right? But from business owner to business owner, I felt like it's okay for me to tell you, hey, you're dropping the ball. Like, hey, I'm telling you right now, like, you're doing A, B, and C. Like, is everything okay? Are you changing how you do work, whatever? Because I feel like if I was doing something, what if I wasn't, like, you know what I'm saying? What if I didn't know? And somebody told me, I want to give them a chance to be like, oh, dude.
Make it right.
Yeah, make it right. I want to give you a chance. And if you, like, even if I told you I went out of my element to tell you because business owner, I get it. And then either the conversation goes south, like, or you're like, oh, you start blaming me, get the hell out of here. Or if you're like, hey, you know what? I didn't even realize that. Like, let's let's get it going. Cool.
Okay.
You're
human. I'm human.
Yeah, let's figure it out.
I'm not saying I'm out here perfect just because I'm complaining about other people.
Yeah, no, we're very flawed. Very flawed.
Not perfect at all.
But the concept.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The concept is
there. Take responsibility and just like, okay, how can we make this better?
Take constructive criticism. Fix the things that's going on. Like, there's a lot of things that, yes, even on top of that, things that we don't have control over, and we take the hit for it. But at the same time, guys, like, man, dealing with people, it can be
a double-edged sword, man.
Double-edged sword. Yeah.
Big time.
Big time.
Because, I mean, we meet some great people, too. But unfortunately, it does weigh heavier on the people that are not dependable in this field, and I find crazy because everybody, if you are an entrepreneur, you're fighting for yourself.
Yeah,
you are fighting for your own livelihood, and if you're not willing to fight for yourself, well, you're definitely not willing to fight for my client or anybody else around you.
Yeah,
and so I can't trust you. You know, and I just don't get that. You know, why wouldn't you fight for yourself?
For sure. And I think that segues into our next topic kind of nicely.
You think so?
I think so. Because part of, like, dealing with people is there's, like, a reverse, right? Like, I feel that one of the ugly truths as well about real estate is that we may not be prepared that we have to wear multiple hats.
No.
Multiple hats, guys.
All the time.
Look, we're not licensed lawyers, we're not licensed therapists, we're not licensed I don't know what, but if you're not prepared to have conversations and difficult conversations in those regards, man, you got something else coming to you, because real estate is filled with those conversations.
It's true. It can get awkward sometimes.
Yeah.
But you just kind of like, all right, we're all human, you know? We all have hard times and stressful moments, and just...
Yeah.
Take a deep breath and just...
Well, the thing is...
Let people have their venting sessions with us, on us, at us, you know, for things that we have no control over, or that we didn't cause, or, you know.
But it's really interesting because I use there's a lot of punches that we take that we don't deserve, you know, but like Rocky, I forgot the quote, but he said something about you get hidden until, I don't know what it is, you know the quote. But what I'm trying to say is that I use the analogy as this. If you're an entrepreneur, and just in this case, real estate agent, it's like, if you think about Walmart, right? If you go inside a Walmart, right, and then a cashier does something wrong, you're like, man, F Walmart. Like, I ain't gonna do with this Walmart. You walk out, maybe go to another Walmart, maybe don't go to Walmart, right? We don't have that luxury. Like, we are Walmart. Yeah. We are the face. So if we decide to act out or say something completely wrong or hurt someone's feelings, they're not leaving it's us. Like, our reputations are on the line, or you know, that whole deal's on the line, which it's one of those things where we have to be extra diligent on, or maybe not diligent, we have to be extra, what's the word, there's a word.
Well, describe the...
Okay, you're right. We have to be willing to accept.
Oh, okay, so,
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, take hits is a slang for it, but like, just an example, right? This is an example. When I realized it's the wrong... Jeez.
We also have to deal with annoying chairs a lot in real estate.
Jeez, I'm sorry, guys. I'll get over it. But I don't know why last video I could not stop laughing. It's the most dumbest thing. Okay, anyway. This is an example of when I first started real estate that I realized this, okay? So I had a transaction that was going smoothly. I knew one of the persons in the transaction, one of the parties, right? And I just met the other person. We sold their house and we were buying a house, right? The sale of the house went smoothly. Now we're buying a house.
Gotcha.
Now, in the buying process, mind you, there was things that I didn't know that was going on in the personal life, right? Okay. So whenever I met them, everything was going smoothly, right? Yeah. Smoothly. We found a house. Seemed normal. We found a house. They loved it. It took a while. We finally found something. And I let them know while we're going through the house, I was like, guys, this house is an older house. The inspection report is going to be a little bit larger. Don't worry. I gave them all the, you know, I painted a picture for them, right? Right. We get the inspection report is wild, right? It's wild. And there were maybe a few, this time there was actually some big ticket items. But they wanted to do this crazy list and stuff like that. And I was simply educating them, hey, there's a negotiation strategy, right? That because there's these big ticket items, let's focus on these items, right? Yeah. And that was a conversation. Next day, I get a call blowing me up. Like, she was going off on me, saying that I'm trying to, like, control the negotiations, and I'm kind of trying to control this, and basically going off and just yelling at me. And I'm like, whoa, like, came out of left field. I just took the hit, and I was like, okay, well, you know, I definitely wasn't trying to do that. I was just trying to point you in a direction of what to stand.
Talk strategy.
And then
we're sitting around the war table. Yeah. Discussing.
That's it.
Where we're gonna shoot.
Get off the phone, and I'm just like, like every ounce of my body.
I'm not trying to control anything.
Yeah, I'm not
trying to tell you what to give up or not to give up.
Yeah, it's just I'm just giving you options, right?
But if the plates on the freaking, you know, electrical plugs need changing, you're really gonna put that next to the AC?
Yeah.
Get over the plates. Go buy the $2 plates at, you know, Home Depot and replace them yourself. Yeah. And let's get the AC fixed.
Exactly. So it was just strategy. Yeah. Well, anyway, look, so I didn't say anything crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I just took a hit, whatever.
All right, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, it's cool.
How do we want to work?
She calls me the next day, completely apologizing. So I'm so sorry. Like, I had this going on, it's not your fault, you're just doing your job, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, can you imagine if I was like, man,
forget you.
You know? And then
I ain't doing nothing, I'm trying to give you the best advice possible, even if you're right, but saying with an attitude.
Yeah.
Instant turn off. Nobody's going to want to work with you like that.
Yeah. And not only is she going to work with me, that transaction, we're in the middle of one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It would have made the whole thing weird. If she could have, terminated or whatever the case is. It was an option period. Like, it was all that. And then she confided in me certain things, and it was a personal matter that was going on. It was a personal matter. She took it out on me, blah, blah. Mind you, it's not okay, but it's just things. And that's happened to me several times. And it's like, bro, I'm just a punching bag over here? Right. So not only, you know what I'm saying? You know, so, yeah, it's just, oh, man, like, telling you, like, it happens. So stuff like that people are not at all, like, aware of. And then simple stuff that are kind of, like, it's not necessarily the ugly truth, I feel, but it's just the reality of it, is the whole therapeutic part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have
being educators, a lot of times we have to educate the other side of the transaction of the legalities of what they're saying. Yeah. I recently had another realtor that told me, I don't even want to tell my client about this or that going on in the transaction. I'm like, excuse me?
You have to.
You don't even want to tell them? Like,
yeah.
That's our duty, is to relay information, discuss options and ways that we can work around this information, and then facilitate the paperwork and the management of all of those things to get them done. And she didn't talk to her client. Wow. She did not tell them about the necessary things that you have to inform your client of. And I was baffled, because this person's been in business for probably 4 times longer than me at this point. And I'm like, man, you're supposed to be schooling me, not the other way around.
Man, I learned a long time ago too.
I was like, wow, dude.
Learned a long time ago that time of being a realtor does not mean best. Like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. I work with a 10-year agent that I was the same thing. I was completely, like, thrown off, because I was like, you're saying what?
What did you just say?
Yeah, like, and then you're doing what? Like, that's what? Like,
it's illegal.
It's like, what the heck? Like, that's not okay, you know? And then
this realtor was like, oh, we can just let your clients go in the house and just repair whatever. I was like, what?
Like, dude,
that you're putting my client in a very highly vulnerable situation doing that. Like, and she's all like, well, I mean, it's more vulnerable for my client. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No, this whole thing is not right. We need to come up with an agreement, make amendments, and be on the same page about what's happening here. It was, wow, I was just, I mean, I think that my jaw hit the floor. I almost didn't know how to respond, and I was just like, well, I'm going to try to come up with some kind of strategy to get us through this, because, you know, I think everybody wants this transaction to complete, you know?
That, you know what, though? Like, this year there's a lot of talk about people not renewing their license. And
oh, I heard that.
Yeah, and I feel like, I think it's for the better across the board. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, man, there's so many uneducated agents out there that it's doing a lot of damage to the industry. Like, not only for experiences, but also, come on, man, like, you gotta take care of these people.
Dude, I do so many classes that I actually, the other day I was like, oh, I feel so annoyed doing another class right now. Because there's so much education, and sometimes it's just like, you know, like, kids get a school break, and, you know, they get the summer, and then even college kids, you know, they have their breaks, and we're never on a break from education. Yeah. And it's not that I don't like learning. I really love learning things. However, the chore of learning, when it's something that is very necessary and constantly changing, sometimes feels a little tedious. Like, okay, can things just, like, chill out for a minute, just so I can catch my breath? Yeah. Like, I just don't want to think for a moment, you know? And there's none of that. It's constant, like, oh, there's a new law, or oh, this new thing that people started doing this new way that people were committing fraud. Let's make sure that we now add this to our,
promulgated forms.
Well, our processes are just, the steps are ridiculous. It's so long. Let's add this in there somewhere. It's just too much.
You see, and that's the thing is that, guys, we're talking about taking classes, but you have to understand that it's not necessarily mandated. Like, every agent has to have a specific amount of CE classes and stuff like that. But those CE classes are the general classes. We're talking about taking extra classes.
On top of the norm.
Yeah, on top of the norm, to make sure that, like, all the little nuances that are happening every month, every week, that we're on top of it. I literally just spoke to an agent, and he said, well, check this out. I was kind of shocked at first.
Okay.
Like, shocked and then shocked again. Like, he told me
double shock.
He told me that he got an offer on his listing, and he straight up told the agent, he's like, I'm not going to give this to my client.
What?
Yeah. And I was like, whoa, like, what? And he was like, I'm not going to give this to my client. And then the other agent was like, I'm going to call your broker and tell him you're not, because you legally have to. Yeah. He was like, no. I was like, when you call my broker, you explain to him what document you're using, because the document you're using is 2 years old. That's outdated. It's not a, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, bro. I was like, that was good. You caught that, because that form could have been null and void. You know what I'm saying? It's no longer an actual document. It's been updated. You know what I'm saying? So, but
that was a good catch.
It's a great catch. And I was like, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, we have to stay educated. This other agent had no idea, and she was trying to use better show that. But she was like, oh, well, hold up. My bad. That's not, And the thing is, like, unfortunately, it happens too much.
A lot.
Like, there was a form that recently was updated, right? The seller disclosure form. And this is kind of part of the, like, yeah. You're killing me, Smalls.
Sorry.
But there's a form that just got updated for the seller disclosure, right? Not recently, but when it did. And as we have to make sure that's updated. So dealing with other agents, that don't, and it's like, hey guys, like this seller disclosure, can we get the updated one?
And then they're like, I can't get the seller to do the updated one. You can just tell your broker that you asked.
It's like, we need it to be a valid file. Like,
It's really annoying.
Yeah,
But like, it reminds me that there's actually a stat that an estimated 87% of new agents quit.
Jesus.
Within the first 6 months. 6 months.
It makes sense, guys. It makes sense. You know why it makes sense? Because there's so many things that people don't talk about when it comes to joining real estate.
That's true.
And excuse me,
expenses is probably the biggest.
It's thing. One of the most. It's the investment that you have to make in real estate is real.
It's astronomical.
It's astronomical.
Astronomical.
Well, it is because
I heard somebody say the other day that if you're a new agent, you should have 6 to 18 months of reserves.
So
to get by before you make any money.
Let me paint a picture real quick. To make it to put in perspective, right? In the corporate world, you get a job, you get paid every 2 weeks. 2 weeks, you get money, and then you get medical insurance, and then you get your taxes automatically deducted. Yeah, you are going to an office, and it's repetitive or whatever, but there's that, right?
Yeah.
And this
repetitive paycheck.
Yeah, exactly. The consistency in this world. You have to pay to get paid. Like, you have to invest in your license, you have to study, you have to go, then you have to pay the fees, then you have broker fees, and then you have to pay
for the exam.
And then, you know what I'm saying? And then on top of that,
you're going to join the MLS.
MLS fees.
You have to be paying to be a NAR.
All the office fees, and then quarterly fees,
monthly fees.
And on top of all that, the minutia. The minutia.
This finger minutia.
Of all the finite details that people don't think about. Like, for example, I have a buyer's consultation, right? And I had to buy everything. I had to buy the individual folders. I had to print out the things, pay for the printouts. Depending on your whatever. I had to pay for all that, pay for all the materials, pay for, you know what I'm saying? So every little thing.
All the marketing, business cards, all that adds up.
It all adds up. So
tax.
Yeah.
Insurance on our vehicles because it is different.
And then
CPA, photography. What else?
It all adds up. Though I think, and then on top of that, for new agents, to get back to that 80% or whatever, there's also a learning curve, guys. Like, it's not like when you go into a corporate world, right? You have 2 weeks of training, paid training, right? And then blah, blah, blah. No, like, this is a whole industry that you can literally get fined and your license revoked if you done mess up.
And be in a lawsuit over.
In a lawsuit.
And we have regulations that we have to comply with. Lots and lots.
Lots and lots.
Lots and
so
lots.
For someone that is wanting to do real estate, it's like you have to be ready to invest and be ready not to get money for a while. And then even for me, right? So when I started doing real estate, I came from the corporate industry and I started doing real estate, and I refused to market myself for the first 6 months because I wanted to really understand the business. I would have hated to put somebody in such a big important decision, right?
And then not know what I was doing.
Not know what I'm doing. And then word of mouth, they can be doing whatever. But at the same time, like I was fortunate because I had enough saved to kind of hold me through that. But that is a luxury. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and I was prepared. I had my sister coaching me and all this stuff. So I was very fortunate to be able to, you know, put myself in that situation. But even when I started marketing myself, I still didn't get it paid for another 3 or 4 months. You know?
You have to get through the whole process.
The whole process. And then every transaction takes at least 30 days. Some can be quicker because cash and all that stuff. But 30 days. So, I mean, it all ends up making sense. And it all ends up really working and stuff like that. But that first initial...
in the beginning... You're crying yourself to sleep. Why am I doing this?
Yeah. So and they keep coming. So the thing about this is that fees are consistent. Your paycheck is
inconsistent.
Very. And that's another ugly truth about this real estate business is that
everybody's like, oh, you got a percentage of that big house or whatever. I'm like, yeah, man, by the time I got to my percentages, like itty bitty.
Yeah, and then on top of it too.
And I've already paid in advance on a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and sometimes, like, for example, just say have a bad few months, right? And then you get paid a commission, right? People think, oh, you're getting paid 3%. You're like, First of all, taxes. 30% already from that 3% is gone.
Yeah.
And then you have your broker fees, which varies, right? And then you have any sort of marketing or whatever that you may have paid for to have that sale occur. So you end up walking off with a percentage. You know what I'm saying?
With a little bit of what you made.
Yeah. So if you didn't have a few good months and you have to stretch that out. And then if you have one more, you know what I'm saying? Like it's but even you're going through all that, guess what still is due? Your fees, your monthly fees, quarterly fees, all.
And you still have to keep your license up to date, which means paying for CE classes and getting that done. What did I hear? I heard a thing the other day. It was talking about how many realtors in the U.S. actually make a living wage, and the percentage, I think it was like 20%. Yeah. 20% of realtors make a living wage. 80% do not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's think about that, because everybody knows a realtor. That's another downer of being an agent, is that everybody knows someone. Yeah. So like sometimes it's really challenging because you're like, well, why did you pick them over me? You know, or when someone goes and gets a new build done and they don't even use a realtor. Well, you know that for a new build, like, we can help you out through the negotiations, through the process, through just managing the entire construction process and making sure that they're doing the things that they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do them, and that somebody who's educated in those things is watching over that for you and knowing the things that you don't know. Guys. And that's a big deal. And they just go and get it done, and you're like, you went and bought a new home and I could have helped you.
Look, man.
Why are you...
Why
don't you trust me?
It's about to get a little hot, and I'm going to call you guys out a little bit. But I'm going to be honest, like, one thing is I genuinely love helping people. I love educating people. I love, taking care of people. I really do like that. Yeah. But one of the most frustrating things
Tell me about it.
is when friends and family, not family, I'm just kidding, but people that I know that this is my business. This is my career. This is what I do. This is how I feed my friends and my friends' family. This is how I feed my family and not my friends. What kind of? I take them to dinner every now and then. Yeah, sometimes. But when they know that, right? Yeah. And they ask me a bunch of questions, and they're like, "Hey, would I do this and how do I whatever?" And they use another agent, or they just go get a new boat after me telling them not to do that, or you know what I'm saying? And it's like I don't understand the mindset behind that. Or even then, like if we were talking about it, like they already have an agent, you know, and then they're blowing you up with questions. You're like,
and don't get me wrong, like I want to help and I want to answer your questions, but there's a couple issues with that. Number one, if you're working with somebody legally, I cannot give you advice or opinions. I can state facts like the law says that they have to present all offers to you. Yeah. I can tell you the facts of the law, but I'm not allowed to do anything else. And in fact, even in telling you the facts, it's a little bit of a gray area with the other agent, because they can submit a complaint to Trek on me that I'm trying to poach their client, and I had nothing to do with anything. You just came and asked me. I didn't even know you had an agent. And so you're putting me in an awkward situation. Yeah. Now, of course, I want to help you. Yeah. Like, I love helping people. Yeah. And I love the people that I know. I do. But, man, it kind of hurts. Yeah. You're like, okay, you didn't trust me enough to sit down with me and, you know, go through this process together, but yet now you're not liking the results of the choice you made, and now you want me to help you. Like,
and this is the thing.
It feels like you're this stinky diaper, and I don't know. It feels ugly. Like, I don't like it. I don't know. That was a really sucky analogy, but that's how I feel. I feel really
pretty stinky analogy.
Well, you feel like rejection in this industry. It's easy to feel very rejected by people.
Well, yes, but this is the thing too. Is like, look, watch. This is where I draw the line, right?
Line in the sand.
Line in the sand. Is this if I don't mind if someone came up to me, they're very transparent, and they're like, hey John, like I have an agent, man. I just have a quick question, like just for clarification. I wouldn't mind that at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, cool. You're clarifying. You're not giving me perception. You want to use me as an agent. You're not using me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That for me, I'm okay with that. You know, if you're just
But
clear.
The question is just why though?
Well, obviously.
You know what I mean? Like, why aren't you talking to your agent if you chose them already over me? Yeah. Why all of a sudden, you know, whatever. I had somebody one time reach out and was like, can you take me on a tour of these houses? And I was like, well, I can't this moment, but maybe in later today. And they're like, yeah, my agent is so busy. I hate to bother them.
Wow.
What do you think? We all have like a joint bank account, and like I was like, really? And this person was an entrepreneur, and I'm like, how would you like it if I like hired somebody else, paid them, and then asked you to come do part of their job, like, because they're busy.
You see, and that's what
I was just like, I can't even believe, like, I felt really offended, like.
Yeah, and the thing is too is like, so there's some circumstances, like I've had people that have a family and they feel obligated to use them.
Sure,
like
absolutely. And I feel bad.
Yeah, and and I know people have multiple friends, and I get all that. But my thing is just communicate, man. Like,
I have had people who have been like, yeah, we're using another realtor, you know, but I had a question about that, and I've answered the questions, and I'm like, hey man, you told me, I get it, and I'd love to help out as much as I am able in the capacity of not being your agent, you know, and I'll do what I can.
You see,
but and I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm fine with that because it wasn't a lengthy thing or anything like that. Yeah. But you know, when it's the other way around and they keep asking you questions, they want you to run CMAs on all this stuff, and you're like, oh, bro, you have an agent. Like, you know, maybe they gave you a CMA, maybe you don't agree with it. Yeah. But you need to talk to your agent at that point and say, I would like another person from your brokerage to conduct another analysis, because I just, things don't feel right to me, or the way that you've explained them just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. Tries to work and maintain my integrity, maintain all the different laws that we have to, you know, stay in tune with. And then because of that, like, I get a miscellaneous, you know, fraudulent complaint.
I think that I feel like people don't understand that to a full extent, right? Like, because there's a lot of times where I feel like it's one of those harmless things. Let me just ask for a different opinion, you know. But it's not that easy. Look, I'm not comparing this to Picasso, but there's a scenario there's a quote that I like to use, or whatever, a scenario that he had a guy come up to him, right? And he was like, hey, draw me a picture. And it took like 30 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever, draw him a picture. And he gave it to the guy, and the guy was like, how much does that cost? He's like, $200 or something. And the guy was like, dude, that only took you 5 minutes. And Picasso was like, no, it took me 30 years to know how to do that in 5 minutes. Yeah. So whenever we're answering questions and helping people out, they don't really realize, hey, it took us forever to get this education to be able to offer you some solid sound and advice.
And you chose somebody who couldn't answer the question.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Once again, I don't mind the help. It's just that the idea is that everything we're doing, right, is to get a commission. That commission is for us to get, you know what I'm saying, to be able to revitalize our...
continue being an agent, period.
Yeah, and the education that we take. I know we both are very avid. We're very, like...
We're on top of it.
On top of it. We want to... And then we work very hard for our clients. We work very hard for everything that we do to make sure that we're providing a 5-star rating type of experience. So it's just one of those things where, man, like... where we're doing all this, and granted, not every client, I don't expect everybody that I talk to work with me and all that. It's just those situations where they're not communicative. You know, when you find out through Facebook or something, and you're just like, man. What? You're like,
I didn't even know you were looking like...
Dude, I was working with a client for a year and a half, going to dinners, going to all that, helping them out, everything, you know? They straight up told me a date that they wanted to do a transaction, and then I found out through Facebook that they just closed on a house with somebody else. And no explanation, no conversation, no nothing, just, hey everybody, I got a house.
Ghosted you and then pop up.
After a year and a half of helping this person understand how it works, working through them, babying them through the scenarios, meeting them several times to reiterate, going through the finances. Guys, it happens. Like, it happens. And it's that part is what's frustrating.
It's crushing, man, though. Because it's like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, like, we talked about earlier. Like, if it was me, cool, tell me. Like,
yeah, just tell me.
And I'd be like, oh, okay, I messed it up. Like, recently, I had a situation where, trying not to be too clear on who it is, but I had a situation where somebody listed their property for sale, right? I know 100% it's my fault, because I could have been a little bit more... involved with their life, and it's somebody that if I wasn't an inner thinker like that, I'd probably be offended, like, oh, we're kind of close and blah blah blah. But no, it's genuinely my fault, and I'm willing to take a hit. Like, man, that would have been the transaction that could have made it work, and I could have been the best for this person. But obviously, I didn't do enough work to relay that. So whenever somebody chooses somebody else, cool. If I wasn't a good fit, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but it'd be kind of nice to be like, oh, this other person is just way better. Cool, I'll take it. I would like to know, just because my business is about growth and how it can be better. Another, guys, we're going off. Apologize, but look, might as well just fill you guys in. I feel
more relaxed though.
You feel better? You're a little red. I don't know.
I feel a little hot.
But so another thing about real estate that people don't realize that is, one of the ugly truth is that, and it kind of is just duh, right? But a lot of people think, oh, you have such a flexible schedule. You can like do anything you want. You can go in whenever you want.
Stop it.
And it's like, bro, look, we don't work, we don't get paid. And the thing about real estate is that it's not like, your work is not immediately gratifying. Your work is gratified in a month or two.
Do you find that because people think you have a flexible schedule, they get you to do stuff like I told my husband the other day, I was like, I'm not a housewife. Like, I have to do all this stuff for the house. I'm trying to work.
Yeah. So at the household, I can see that a little bit. Yes. Well,
sorry, babe.
Yeah.
I love you.
Pete, get your stuff together.
The thing about it is, though, is like with real estate, is momentum is needing to be constantly built.
Yeah.
You miss one day and it's gone.
Yeah.
It's really gone. And it takes a lot of days in a row to even build up a medium amount of momentum. Yeah. So it's extremely vital that you're constantly pushing yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Think of it like a gear, like in a vehicle. First gear, you build that momentum, you're able to go to second gear.
Yep.
And by, you slow down, skip a gear, you have to drop those gears, and it's harder.
Start right back.
Yeah, and what with that being said, it's like, for example, you have your momentum's going, right? And this is the part that people don't get, especially new agents. you have a momentum going, right? And you're working on your marketing and you have all this stuff, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get a deal, and you get a deal, and you get a deal. But as you're getting those deals, you focus on the deals and you forget about
all the other work.
Yeah. So then, those deals start to dissipate.
They finish. You get paid, and then you're back at square one.
Yeah, and then not only square one, you're like,
because you don't.
Yeah, like you're like way down because you didn't continue that momentum while you were busy. You know.
Exactly.
So it's just like a really.
I mean, honestly, and sometimes people stop because they feel discouraged.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, discouragement has its own momentum. It's its own little monster where it's like, what's the point? You know, and that's a dangerous place to be in our industry because that's like a nail in the coffin kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like every time you do that, it's just another nail in the coffin. It's too easy to quit.
Yeah. Because
there's nobody pushing you. There's nobody that's going to be like, hey, John, get to work.
Yeah.
Hey, you can do this. You know, I'm sorry. You know, there's nobody else really doing that. I mean, we have a few people who, you know, encourage us along the way, of course.
And it's good to team up. Like we hold each other accountable as much as possible and stuff like that. But besides, you're your own boss, so it is. It's very easy to get off track. It's very easy to be inconsistent. Which this year, my word is inconsistent because that's the thing. You ready to do the positive parts of it?
I guess. There are some positive things.
Guys, we just finished going off on y'all.
We just had our wah-wah moments.
Yeah. But in reality, the reason why we wanted to air this is because we wanted to let you guys know, hey, life sucks.
Like, life just is rough sometimes, and that's okay. You know, there are some days when we don't want to do even the show. Yeah. There are some times when we're just like, I'm just tired and I just don't want to try. Yeah. People get tired of trying, you know? And sometimes we get annoyed with the people we work with, just like you guys do. Yeah. Sometimes they're too much. Sometimes they're ridiculous. I mean, y'all probably have bosses who, you know, just are cracking the whip. They're not on your team. They're just the one behind you trying to push you up the hill with lameness, you know? And we deal with sucky people too, man. It's annoying. They're so annoying. But we're here because we actually do love this industry. I mean, we're entrepreneurs. We could go be entrepreneurial in other ways. Yeah. You know? Absolutely. I could go make lamps.
Can you?
I could.
Really?
I mean, if I wanted to.
That's kind of cool.
I kind of want to do that as a side
I would buy a lamp from you.
Yeah? Yeah. You know what my dream is? Because I have never learned to, like, blow glass, but I would like to learn how to be a glass blower. Yeah. I think that'd be, like, that's always been, like, cool. One of my dreams, right? But I've been thinking, like, when I go to sleep lately, like, I try to meditate and all this stuff, but I was just like, let me meditate on something that I dream of doing, you know? Yeah. And I would like to make, like, some huge blown glass sculptures. Yeah. And then just have them lit up. Like, I think that would be so cool to have, like, in a living room, like a giant bust, you know, like a big head, shoulders, but it's all lit up. Like, that would be, like, so freaking cool, you know? That's actually really cool. Just different, really neat shapes. Yeah. Like, you know, like maybe somebody's obsessed with hearts, like a huge heart, you know.
That's actually really cool.
I think it'd be a really cool thing to do to make lamps. Yeah. But my point is that we're entrepreneurs. Yeah. So, like, we could be entrepreneurial other ways. But we chose real estate because, honestly, for me, I love getting people into the place that they call home. Yeah. Like, that's really important to me. It really is a passion of mine. It's not some BS made up slogan. It's really what I care about.
For sure. And for me, guys, I love this industry. Like, it took me forever to get into this industry. Like, I was seriously convinced to do it because I was terrified of the commission-based process and all that stuff, and have a kid and everything. It's very scary, but at the end of the day, like, the perks of it are really awesome. Like, it is a learning curve, and there are all these cons, but there's cons everywhere. This job can be very lucrative if you put your hard work in it, if you're willing to be disciplined, if you are self-driven, if you are creative. There's a lot of different things and attributes that if you have these jobs can be great. It can be very lucrative. But at the same time, like, you get to really explore and share memories that last a lifetime. Like, helping people get their keys to their house, like,
it's a big deal. That's so fun.
So it's crazy because I see, like, the wave of super nervous and I'm scared, right? I don't want, and then I'm in this mode of just this fatherly or just educating or whatever I have to be to help them feel comfortable and safe, right? And then you see them get super excited, right?
Yeah. House. Oh, that's the best look.
Yeah. Man. And then we're looking at a house and they're excited, right? And then we're about to put an offer and it's like, like, oh, I'm nervous, and it's like,
scary,
is it gonna work?
Yeah.
And then it's like stays
Offer
down there for a while.
Or man, when they hold on to your offer for days and we're all there like all anxious, like, are they gonna accept or what are they gonna do?
Exactly.
And then finally we get that offer accepted.
That's another thing up, and then it's like everything else. So it's just wait, but then at the end, that it's just so nice to be at the closing table. Everything's said and done, and they're signing the paperwork. It's all smiles.
Yeah.
I've only had one where it wasn't smiles, but it was a very unique situation. But all smiles.
Random thought.
You know, and it's just like remember. But it's really cool. That's a feeling and an emotion that you get to be a part of that person's memory for a lifetime, which is great. And lastly, honestly, like I've built so many really awesome relationships. I know we talked a lot of smack about the people that are horrible.
That we can't stand.
But
everybody else.
But
the 20%, the other 20%.
The other percentage, like the people that you do develop relationships with, they hold strong, honestly.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good people in our industry. A lot of people who are, I'm like, for one, there's so many people that do a lot of charity work. Yeah. And the amount that they do is incredible to me because I'm like, how do you have the time to do that much? Yeah. And then also like handle your business and the whole rest of your life, you know, because we all have families. Yeah. You know, what is it called? Commitments and things like that, right? Yeah. But I'm just like in awe of some of the people in our industry that just give so incredible much back to the community.
And I do want to give a shout out too for the people in our office. We're at Coldwell Banker Northwest office, and there's a lot of those here, man.
There is.
Like we have a lot of really, really high performing people that are just super inspiring, giving us always motivation. We have a lot of volunteer work here, so I know this is a little like off topic, but because you said that, I'm really proud of the people here, man. The staff here, they're not staff. Sorry guys, y'all are independent, whatever.
Co-agents.
They're co-agent. I never know what to call
colleagues.
Is that what it is?
Colleagues. You call them the colleagues.
Oh, my bad.
The colleagues.
The colleagues here. Like, I just feel like I'm really proud of everybody and all the teamwork. So it's really cool. And we appreciate that. I know for sure. Everybody else. I was kidding.
Get on your stuff, man.
We appreciate you, especially if you hung out the entire...
But you know what? According to Pete, most of the agents he works with are pretty garbage, too. Yeah. So he complains about agents as well.
Yeah. Easy to mess up.
They don't know the rules. They're not doing things right.
So let's do this.
All right.
Let's end it off with a bang. Time for our Dare on Air. So you dropped it last time.
So it's your turn.
So because you dropped it, it's your turn. Woo! Nothing. Watch your kneecaps, girl.
You didn't even show me your block. I don't even know if I can trust you. Woodpecker.
Hey. All right.
That was so easy, and it's blank.
All right, here we go again, guys.
We had so many turns where we had pulled. Oh, you got the 3. You have to imitate Jim Carrey.
All right then.
Alrighty then.
Damn, I haven't imitated him in forever. Let me think. Okay, I got it. Let's go to the restaurant.
Restaurant? What?
Do not go in there. Woo!
Woo!
Do not! Guys, I can do a way better impression than that. I'm horrible.
That's the second dud in a row.
Hey, you know what? You picked the dares. You picked the dares that you're good at.
No, I didn't. How would I be good at being Jim Carrey?
Try something right now. I don't know what's going on. I love Jim Carrey. Sorry, Jim Carrey. Don't hate me for doing such a bad impression. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for chatting with us live and venting a little bit, if you did with us.
Giving us a little bit of therapy.
Yeah, a little therapy. But also just inviting you into the ugly truths of real estate.
Well, have a beautiful day. And we love you. And we hope that you don't hold any of this against us. Please.
Hold it against her. Just forgive me.
Well, it's all his fault. See you next time.
Bye.
Wasn't it us. Let's have a